Hi, I'm Christian Triola, author of the Missing Method for Guitar books. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to play that riff from Robert Johnson's Sweet Home Chicago. Now to start off, make sure you download the PDF, which has that riff tabbed out for you so you can follow along. Alright, so here are some things that you'll want to know in order to play this riff. So first of all, it comes from the classic blues tune, Sweet Home Chicago. I mean, it's one of the most well-known blues tunes out there, so there are a lot of versions of this tune. So the version you may know best may not be what you hear here today. So this version could be applied to a lot of different blues tunes. So let's go ahead and get started. First, it follows a typical 12-bar blues format in the key of E major. And so if you're not familiar with what a 12-bar blues is, do check out our other videos which talks about the 12-bar blues, what it is and why that's important. But for now, just know it's a 12-measure pattern that's used in the blues and a lot of other music as well. The second thing you want to know is that the notes that make up the riff outline the chord changes. So since we are in a 12-bar blues in the key of E, we know our chords are going to be E major, A major, and of course B7. But those aren't strummed throughout. In fact, that's going to be the topic of a different video. Here we're just talking about that main riff that I played at the beginning of this video. So the notes that are included in that opening riff are E, G, G sharp, B, and C sharp. Now, most of those notes are part of the E major chord. We have E, G sharp, and the B. So those three notes make up the E major chord. So the other two notes embellish that. So we have the G natural, which you can hear gives it that bluesy sound. In fact, it's called a blue note. And you can hear it resolving to that G sharp, so it sounds really cool in there. The other one is the C sharp, which is in the key, but it's not part of the chord. So that's actually the sixth note of the key, so we call that an E6 if we were using that note by itself. All right, the next chord, the A major, does the same kind of thing. It's just on a different set of strings. It uses the same notes. You have the main note A, we have the C, which is the lowered third, the C sharp, which is in the chord, the E, which is in the chord, and then the sixth note in A, which is F sharp. So same notes exactly. Then of course we have the B7, which comes up later in the song. And so that one, even though it follows the same pattern, the fingering is a little bit different on that, and we'll get into that later in the video. But we have the same kind of thing. We have the B, and we slide up here, D, D sharp, there's the flat third to the third, F sharp on that fourth, and then the G sharp, which of course is the sixth note of that B. So we have same type of notes, but we have to move up the neck because that's where the notes are found in that open position. Another thing that you'll want to know is that throughout the entire riff, we have eighth notes, that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. However, here we're playing them as swing eighth notes, meaning the first part of the eighth note is a little bit longer than usual, and the second part is a little bit shorter to make up for that. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. More like that rather than 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which are traditional or straight eighth notes. So swing eighth notes, we're outlining the chords much like a bass line. So here's how you play the riff. First, we're going to start with that E that I mentioned earlier, and then use your middle finger to get the G, and then the third finger to get the G sharp. The reason for that is so that you can use your first finger on the next string to get the B or the second fret. Then the third finger grabs that C sharp. So all together we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just like that. All right, so that means the fingering on the next chord, when it changes to A later in the song, you go same fingers, 2 and 3 on the 5th string, 3rd and then 4th frets. 1st finger at the 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the 4th fret. So it's basically the same thing. It's kind of like someone came and pulled your last string off your guitar and you still had to play the same riff. So let me go through just those two again. We have the E, the A, which leaves us, of course, with one left to do, the B, or B7 in this case. So with the B7, we're going to start on the 5th string, 2nd fret, 1st finger. We'll play that note twice. And then we're going to move up the neck with the middle finger at the 5th fret on that same string. So we're going from 2 to 5, switching fingers, using the 3rd finger for the 6th fret. So you have 1 and 2 and you can see by doing that it helps you move smoothly. So if you're missing that note, you want to think of that 5th fret as a target. In fact, you could even practice that. 2, 5 with the middle, 2 with the 1st, 5 with the middle. And just do that over and over again until you can move through that smoothly. So you'd have 2, 2, 5, 6. Next string, 4th fret with the 1st finger, and then 3rd finger on the 6th fret, and back to 4. So all together, 2, and that of course only happens once in the song, whereas the other parts of the riff you repeat it over and over again. Alright, so now that you understand how to do the riff, I'm going to play through it one more time, but this time all the way through from beginning to end, and then it'll be your turn to take that PDF and try it out for yourself. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then of course you could repeat that as many times as you'd like. In the song there's actually some breaks and things like that too, but again it really depends on the version of Sweet Home Chicago that you're used to hearing. But this will work in most versions. As long as it's in the key of E, you can just follow along. Alright, so for more on the blues, we do have a couple other videos that I've recently put out that explain the 12-bar blues and other elements of blues that you might want to check out, so be sure to do that. Also, please like and subscribe. I always appreciate it when people do that. And it's nice getting comments too. All right, so I will see you in the next video.